Hello and welcome back. In our last video, we saw how to pipe the output of one command into another and using the pipe operator, our vertical line, and we also saw how to redirect the output of one file or one command into a new file, like a text file. And so we did this and we created two files, my files and processes. So right now, if I just cat my files, if we look, this is a long listing of all of the files that are currently in the directory that we're working in. Now, let's say that when I look here, I'm getting all of this information, but maybe I don't want all of the information. There is a very powerful tool that we have here in Linux to help us search through a document for specific patterns, and that's Grep. And so let's look at the help documentation for Grep. So we'll type grep --tac help. And it tells us here, Grep. We have some options, and then we have to give a pattern and a file. And it searches for patterns in a specific file. And so we have all of these different options here that we can set, and we'll go through and look at some of these maybe in a little bit. But essentially, what Grep does is it searches through a file. If you know what you're looking for, you type that pattern in, and then it will search a specific file for that pattern and only give you the lines of text that have that pattern. So let's clear this and let's cat my files back to the screen. So let's say I only want to get the line that has, that's this line right here. And maybe I'm just searching for the word downloads. So I can use the grep command and I'll type downloads. And then I have to give the file name that we want to search through. We want to search through my files. And so now when I do this, Grep returns or outputs to the screen only the line that matches that search parameter, okay, or that pattern. And so there, because we have the word downloads, it gives me that file. Now be careful here, right? If I do grep downloads with a lowercase d, nothing is returned because this is case sensitive, okay? But if we look at the help documentation, grep --tac help, I think there is a --tac I option where we can ignore case. So if I do, let's clear this and let me just use the up command to get this, okay? And let's add the --tac I here. So now when I do this, it's ignoring the case and it's giving us that line. Perfect. So let's cat my files back to the screen. Let's see what happens if I just grep, let's say I'm just looking for the letter D-O, so capital D, capital O, and we're going to search my files. And so now when we look here, grep is returning two lines, because this pattern D-O appears here in documents, and it appears here in downloads. Perfect. If I do grep, let's just say I'm looking for read, write, and execute privilege. I don't want to do that yet. Sorry, I apologize. We didn't talk about read, write, execute privileges fully. If I just do capital D, right, if that's my pattern, I could do my files, and I should get more now. And so we see here, we're searching. We have desktop, documents, and downloads. Wonderful. So let's see if we can use grep, this search tool, with maybe our file processes, right? Because that was much bigger, right? There's a lot of stuff in here, and I don't want to have to go through and search through all of this. So I'm going to clear this. And let's say we know exactly what we're interested. Let's say we're interested in any process that originated from the sbin directory. So we can use grep to find all lines that have the pattern sbin in them. And so let's do that right now. Let's say grep sbin processes. And so if I do this, look at here, we have sbin, 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 sbin. So I can see all of the different things that are running on my computer that originated from this sbin directory, rather than having to search through, right? If I just catted these to the screen, I'd have to search through all of these to find them. And I would say, okay, where are they? Where are they? And already I'm getting, well, here's a few, but I'm missing a lot more. So grep is really powerful in that regard. Okay, so there they are. Let's do a similar analysis maybe with the ifconfig command. So, right, if I call ifconfig, here is the output of ifconfig. It kind of gives us some network information. Let's redirect that ifconfig into a text file. So we'll say network info. We'll call it network info. All right, so now if I do ls, I see I've got a file network info. Let's just cat network info to the screen, and it looks exactly like the output of ifconfig. So let's call grep to just give us our IP address. So your IP address, my IP address is right here. It's in this line that's going to have inet in it. And we also have the loopback IP address. Maybe I want to grab that too. So I want to grab those two things. So I'm going to do grep, and my search pattern is going to be inet, and my file name is network info. And so if you look, we get more lines than we originally wanted, and that's because grep is matching a line as long as it has inet in it somewhere. So this line has inet, but inet 6 and inet 6 is also being matched, and those are lines that I don't necessarily want. So let's look at the help documentation for this. If we scroll up, here are some of our options. The TAC-W option says match only the whole words. And so that's what we want to do. When we use the TAC-W, it's going to look to make sure that the pattern is exactly appears as is and that there's nothing else in the pattern. So when we look for inet, let's clear this. When we look for inet, if we put the TAC-W in here, it's only going to match inet. It won't allow inet 6 to be a part of that. And so now if I click enter, I get my two lines. Here's my loopback, and here is my wireless card, WLAN 0. Perfect. So that's exactly what we want. It's grepping or grabbing only the lines that we specifically wanted. So if you look in all of our examples so far, we started with like a text file, right? And so we were using grep with a text file, right? So we were calling grep, and then here is my pattern, and then I had to give it a file, network info. We certainly don't have to do this. We don't have to put all of our information into a text file first to use it with grep. In fact, it'd kind of become a pain if we had to do that all of the time. So instead, we can just use the pipe operator. We can pipe the output of one of our commands right into grep. So let's delete these files. We're gonna delete these files now and start over. So I'm gonna remove my files. I'm gonna remove network info, and I'm going to remove processes. So we've cleaned up. That's nice. We're going to clear this. Let's start by outputting, let's write ps TAC-EF. So we're going to call our process command to look at everything that's running. And rather than outputting this to the screen or redirecting it into some file like we did before, processes, right? Let's just pipe the output right into grep. So we're going to pipe the output into grep, and we're now going to give a search parameter. So we're going to say sbin. If you remember, before when we used grep, we had to give grep and then the search pattern, and then we had to give the file that we're searching. We no longer have to give the file because we're getting that input from our pipe. So we're taking the output of PS and using that as our input. So now when I click enter, I'm only getting the information that I want here right from the pipe. And so we're kind of doing this in one shot now. It's a lot more efficient and really nice here. Let's do a similar thing with ifconfig, right? So if I call ifconfig, instead of just calling it right now and letting the output go to the screen, or redirecting it into some file like network, info, we can pipe the output directly to the grep command. So I'll say grep, and I'm going to put the TAC-W here so we know we're matching whole words, and I'll do inet. Again, previously when we did this, we then had to give the file name. We're not putting a file name to search because we're getting our input directly from the pipe, which is giving us the output of ifconfig. So when I hit that, we get our two lines here exactly like we want. Grep is a really powerful tool when you're searching for something within a file. And when you use grep in conjunction with a pipe, I think your possibilities are really endless in terms of how quickly and efficiently you can search through your computer to find the information that you want. So we're going to build on these skills as we continue through the course, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video.